And welcome back, guys, and this is Mikeratto, and welcome to a new What If episode. And this episode, we're going to talk about Austin yet again. And this is a what if Austin never got injured and continue his career. When Stone Cold was actually injured and all of his injuries come up to him, he decided to actually made his career. He retired on his own terms instead of getting his life more like on edge route, which he can't move his neck from 2011. So Austin's neck issues and knee issues are the factors, and also all of his previous injuries. And his last match was also to put over The Rock. So yeah, if he continued his career, well, there's gonna be a lot of scenario after WrestleMania 19. And yes, I think in this scenario, the same result happens to WrestleMania 19. It's for The Rock to win in that pay-per-view. But Rock versus Austin will have to extend until the next pay-per-view instead of Rock versus Goldberg. Since Austin is still continue, so Stone Cold will have to feud with The Rock here. And yeah, Stone Cold beats The Rock, and then The Rock goes to Hollywood. It's in first that Austin believe, and The Rock also, and Vince McMahon believes that they need to put over The Rock at Mania, because it is 2-0, and The Rock needs a win over Austin. And when they knew that The Rock will go for his career in Hollywood, they will give The Rock a match with Austin, which Austin will win that match. What happens in the next rivalry? I think that Austin will be involved with Triple H's storyline during his reign of terror. I'm not sure if when, but he will win the World Heavyweight Championship also in this timeline before going to Smackdown and win WWE Championships. But I think Austin and Triple H will feud for the world title, and Austin will win the title here in 2003. And that means when Austin defeats Triple H, the mask versus title match between Kane and Triple H in this timeline, I'm not sure if it will happen or it will happen on a later date, or Austin winning the title will happen in a later date. But yeah, Austin will win the title in 2003. So the rivalry becomes like this. Triple H and Austin will feud for the World Heavyweight Championship. And when Kane actually gone unmasked, he will feud with the old whoever he is feuding, just like in real life, before he will get inserted into the World Heavyweight Championship scene yet again. And as for Goldberg, the World Heavyweight Championship run of his will either be delayed or it will not happen in this timeline. Though I know he has amazing run as the world champion, but considering that Austin is still a huge draw, I think a dream match between these two will actually happen also in this timeline, which Austin retaining. It's either due to Triple H's interference, Evolution's interference, or something like Austin winning cleanly. So yeah. What this also means, in this timeline, Sheriff Stone Cold Steve Austin does not exist because he is the world champion and he doesn't have to have authority roles, because he is still competing. While most of the retired wrestlers are actually taking authority roles, or someone that actually makes sense, or some managers are. So what happens? Either Austin will drop the title to Triple H, or to Kane, or to Goldberg before the year ends. Why is those three are my main candidates for the World Heavyweight Championship instead of Shawn Michaels? Well, if you think about it, Triple H, because he wants the World Heavyweight Championship and he was actually the face of the World Heavyweight Championship during this time. Like, he is always the one who's carrying the belt, and he has some backstage power. As for Goldberg, well, I know that they feuded in Austin's reign, but I'm not sure if WWE will pull the trigger here. It varies to the fans' support. And yeah, if you think about it, it's a dream match that can turn into a rivalry, and also Triple H including himself in the rivalry. And why Kane? Well, Kane is a monster this time. If you think about it, it's like his 1997 self again. He found something in his character. Instead of being the comedic one, he is treated as a monster by actually making Jim Ross, RVD, Shane McMahon, The Undertaker suffered during this year. So, Austin can drop the title between these three before 2003 ends. And if that happened, if Triple H was the one who won the world title, well, the timeline goes just like in real life. If Goldberg wins the title, well, I think it will be a not so much of a title reign before Triple H regains his title and drops it to Benoit in WrestleMania. And as for Kane, while Undertaker will be forced to go to the Raw brand, well, because the world title at WrestleMania will be Kane versus The Undertaker, just like some of my timelines, where Kane was the world champion from 2003 up to WrestleMania 20 till The Undertaker goes to WrestleMania. So yeah, what happens at WrestleMania 20? Well, if there's a 3-on-3 match, which I think the guys in Evolution, the rest of Evolution, versus The Rock and Mick Foley, a 3-on-2 handicap match, I think Austin will join there instead of joining the World Heavyweight Championship match. Why is that, Mikeratto? Well, if they had the star power there, well, they can win that match, though people will say, are you just burning Evolution, especially Randy Orton Batista? Well, they can take that L because if you think about it, there's three huge star power guys. And if you think about it also, if these three legends beat you up at WrestleMania, which is a huge honor at this time, and because of the popularity of these three, Randy Orton and Batista can benefit because of the match card itself. And Austin not being in the World Heavyweight Championship scene will not actually affect Benoit's chances because, well, they will have doubts that they will put the belt on Benoit. And if that happens, well, yeah, Benoit's title reign is actually not given here. And that means WWE will not have to actually erase him in the future for, well, his suicide and his world title reign does not happen. But his Royal Rumble win still occurs. So yeah. While the Royal Rumble 2004, same thing happens. Austin also got his rematch for the world title, which he lost. And in the next month, it's gonna be Austin versus Shawn Michaels versus Triple H for the world title, which Triple H retained by Evolution interrupting and Michaels taking the pin. But it is dirty, and Austin will actually be interrupted in that match, which causes him to join the tag team match, calling The Rock and Mick Foley. While Foley was actually having interactions with Orton at the Royal Rumble, so they need a third guy, and The Rock returned. And as for Triple H, while he still retained the World Heavyweight Championship till WrestleMania. Benoit is the winner, and Shawn Michaels, well, he is in the world title scene, so that's why it continues. So the match happened at WrestleMania, and then at the next night, well, I'm not sure if WWE by that time will draft Austin to SmackDown or he will continue on Raw. But regardless, well, this time he is still a huge star power, and no one can deny that he will win multiple world titles or he will be involved in Vince McMahon's rivalries or the biggest heels rivalries by this era. So the Austin still continues to Monday Night Raw before he will be drafted to SmackDown. And that means, well, Austin will be drafted to SmackDown just to reignite his feud with Kurt Angle after Angle loses his match against Eddie Guerrero at SummerSlam, while Kurt Angle wins against Eddie and he will actually feud with Austin after that. Because these two actually had a great chemistry between each other. One is a technical and one is a brawler. And they can actually do it with their promos. That's why I want to pair these two up and actually had them fight. It's either for the number one contendership or whatever. And since JBL is the champion, if Austin is on SmackDown, this will actually have the people have to think with John Cena if they will push Cena at WrestleMania or they will give the title to Austin. Well, because of Austin's star power, and you can't just turn the man heel, just like in 2001. Even though he's a heel in 2001, well, his heel work is awesome, but the crowd, well, they support him regardless. He still get pops in every arena, and it's actually rare for him to get the amount of boos that WWE wanted him to be. That's why he will get star power regardless. And as for WrestleMania, it can be Cena versus JBL or Austin versus JBL. Well, because the star power problems and he will just overtake the momentum of the other guys and he will still main event. And that means Cena's push will actually be delayed in this timeline. And that means the spinner belt does not debut here and the smoking skull belt returns for an Austin title reign. That means that we will see more of the smoking skull belt. So what happens? Well, Austin is the face of Smackdown. In 2004 up to 2005, he is still competing, he is still doing his job in the WWE, and he is still not injured and he is enjoying his career. Because of this career rise, while also that people still supports him, well, I think that John Cena will actually have his second heel turn here just to feud with Austin, which he will fail to. And then yeah, a heel Cena still continues on SmackDown and Austin stays on SmackDown. He will not go to Raw yet, and that means that the title will remain to SmackDown. So what happens? Well, a lot of people will fight against Austin, but yeah. As for the World Heavyweight Championship, Batista is the face of Raw now. Randy Orton's actually feuded with The Undertaker here. Cena feuded with Austin. JBL also wants to himself to fight for the WWE title, and we have these matches. Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero feuded in 2005, and yeah, just like in real life, Eddie died. Everyone is mourning from that loss. While in this timeline, since the WWE Championship is more on SmackDown, while Mysterio, I think, will challenge for the title. And I think also that Austin, before this, after Eddie died, or before Eddie died, he will take some time off and he will drop the title to a heel in the Smackdown brand, which I think it will be on Cena. Which, because John Cena is a huge heel by this time, and he will debut this spinner belt. So what that means at WrestleMania? Well, for Raw, Triple H is challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship, which he will fail at WrestleMania 22. And as for Austin, he takes time off in 2005 and after WrestleMania. Well, because of his pending injuries, that he wants to actually take time off, and he will take somehow of a commentator slash authority figure just to heal off all of his injuries. But he will state it on the interview that his injuries are coming up to him and he needs to heal all of that before he comes back to the ring. That means that Rey Mysterio in this timeline wins the WWE title, and also in this timeline, well, we will push Rey Mysterio, and instead of making him lose to the Giants, and Smackdown. And as for that, well, Rey Mysterio will actually be drafted to Raw and he will feud with Edge because of the draft pick. And as I told you also, well, also in this timeline, in 2006, Austin was healing in his injuries, and he thought to himself and he discussed to Vince McMahon via backstage and their own private meeting that he will actually take part-time schedule from this point forward because of his pending injuries, and he think that it is also to pave a way for superstars in the WWE. So that means, well, Austin will just feud with some heels and actually be this authority figure, which, well, it's a new thing for the WWE to have face authority roles like Mick Foley and Ted DeLong, which most of them are actually heel type of commissioners or authority roles, which Austin and Starline will just balance Vince McMahon's heelishness in the storyline. So yeah, well, Austin also will compete 3 or 4 matches per year, or even 5 to 8. Just he will appear on most of the pay-per-views, which it actually counts. And just like in real life, well, Austin will be inducted in the 2009 Hall of Fame. And also in that year, well, just like in Ric Flair the previous year, Austin will compete in his final match, which he wants to accomplish something that he never accomplished in his entire career. That is actually a huge thing. And just like in real life, and that's the streak, which means that the fans will be invested in that match. I know that people will say Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. It's awesome, it's amazing, it's good on its own storyline. And if you put Michaels out in that storyline and he will be desperate for the next year's storyline for the streak, well, would you just delay the storyline? Well, yeah, because, well, it's Austin retirement, and I'm sure Michaels will just appreciate it. And also, we can delay that storyline, the 2 WrestleManias back to back, and build that same storyline just like in real life, and his obsession towards the streak. The obsession starts, well, because they both actually beat each other, and Shawn Michaels actually being obsessed in the second WrestleMania, which is WrestleMania 27, that they will fight. In WrestleMania 26, the storyline for The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels is that they both retired legends. Shawn Michaels with Ric Flair and The Undertaker with Austin. and that will be their storyline from WrestleMania 26, and from 27, well, they will feud. So what that means to Triple H? Well, they will just feud at WrestleMania 28 for Triple H, trying to avenge his best friend Shawn Michaels. Well, just like in that, or just like in real life storyline for The Undertaker. And as for Austin, well, he will appear on Raw either as a guest, as an authoritative figure, and he will do something just to balance out, and just to balance out the heel versus face, something like that. So that will be his role, just like in real life. So that will be also the effect of that rivalry because of Austin versus The Undertaker. And during that match, it's actually 50-50 of the crowd support because, well, Austin is a huge face and The Undertaker is a huge face. It's just a pure face versus face feud, and no one is turning heel. So after that match, Austin and The Undertaker is exhausted, and they will just do the rise up hands thing just to celebrate Austin's career. And to end that WrestleMania, well, instead of a silent retirement ceremony, after that match, after The Undertaker went out in the ring, they will show a video package of Austin celebrating his career just to end at WrestleMania. That also is another video from his Hall of Fame video in his retirement thing, which, yeah, Hall of Fame videos. So that's it for this timeline. That's it for this What If. And again, this is Mikeratto, and thank you for watching. And again, please subscribe, like, share, comment down below, and watch my other videos. Thank you for watching, and this is Mikeratto. Peace. And if you're thinking, guys, that he will join the Saudi Arabia feast, which legends are actually returning for a match, well, he won't. He will honor his word, and he will actually just be involved, either appearing on the event or in social media platforms of the WWE, whichever may fit his schedule. And I think in this timeline also, well, he will take the podcast, the TV series, the Tough Enough, or he will just take movies also, just like in the Condemned, and he will make more movies just like with The Rock. And they can actually make a movies if Austin was actually interested. So that's it. That's a short extension. No return matches from Austin, unlike Shawn Michaels with the Crown Jewel 2008 thing. Thank you, and have a good day.